What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I am one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And thank you once again for joining us for another awesome episode about some awesome comics talk, everything in between. Ken, what's going on this week, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm just getting work done, man. I'm starting to get faster at coloring, so I'm trying to hit a page per day, and
Mm,
yeah, I'm starting to get faster at that, and I'm trying to also do my strip on the side, my comic strip for Air Rider, and that's taking a little longer than you would expect, but I'm trying to balance that with also I just got a commission recently, so
nice.
I'm gonna try to get that started tomorrow. But
Sweet.
that's been my whole week. I've just been like just getting work done, you know what I mean?
Is it a cover commission or just like somebody asking you to draw a piece for them for like their own purpose or
Yeah, it actually is a cover commission for a comic book, so
nice?
uh hopefully that goes through and we'll have a good time with it.
Dude, that's dope. Are you still doing the was it Manga May or what was it? The panel comic strip May,
Mhm.
something like that?
Yeah, manga
That's
May.
still going on?
Yeah, I pretty much I couldn't keep up with it. I was just like, all right, yeah, this is too much to I started it on a whim. I was just like, all right, fuck it. Let me start this manga May to see if I can actually keep up with it. And I just realized like, nah, I couldn't cuz it was getting too much in the way of my paying work to justify putting that much time into it and then taking energy away from the work I'm actually getting paid for that's actually going to get published. So um I decided let me just shelve that for now, and if I have time to put out a strip that way, then I'll do it that way. But um no,
Yeah.
I just I had to slow down on that one.
Yeah, no, like those monthly challenges are insane. Like
Yeah,
sometimes those things come up and I see people doing them, like cartoon whatever month or whatever and it's like, man, that's super cool and then like if you stay committed, by the end of the month you could potentially even have like a printable like sketchbook or something to like bring to
yeah,
shows or like even like run Kickstarters for or something like that. But dude, it just takes away from like the meat and potatoes of the operation. Too much, too much time
right.
away.
And the thing about this one is like, it's I feel like it was a lot harder than Inktober because it was asking you to draw a whole manga page
Mm,
um, versus just a single illustration for like Inktober. So I feel
oh yeah.
like doing in attempting this, trying to do Inktober this year would be a lot easier
Mm.
than than trying to do a whole page every day.
Yeah, yeah. I think last year I did Inktober and I did sketch cards. So it was like smaller, very small, little trading card size sketches. Because I was like, I want to do it, but I don't want to like spend large amount of time on these everyday pieces.
Right.
But it's fun. It's a good challenge. But yeah, man, that's good. Getting some good work done, getting some good work. But
Yep.
in terms of my week, I kind of page production wise, comics wise, man, it's been kind of a lackluster week for me, just because
Right.
this episode is going to air after this upcoming weekend, which is the big convention over here in Houston.
Right.
So I'm excited for it, but I've just been like preparing for it, um, kind of getting some kind of like pre-show drawings done, and I think I mentioned it in the last episode. A few of the Houston local creators and some of my buddies, we've been putting together a zine, and
Right.
hopefully we're going to do it like a quarterly release,
Yeah.
and you know, spotlighting local creators where people will have a page or two or a short story like 6 pages like this. So this is like the print right here. It's pretty cool,
Right.
pretty fun little thing, and it's actually came up pretty thick. It's about
Nice.
it's about 20 pages, interior pages featuring,
Dang.
just four different creators: me, my buddy Justin Prine,
Hmm.
Milton Lawson, and Chris Doré. And we all have, it's cool because like it's a grab bag of comics. Like
Right.
mine is more strip based. It's cartoony, kind of humor based. Whereas somebody like Chris's, it's more of like um, uh, superhero type of story.
Right.
And Milton's, his is more of like a sci-fi story. But it's cool. We're trying to do something cool for like the local community, and kind of you know not only distribute independent, more underground work
Uh
into
huh.
the city, but also find other creators that would want to contribute, and kind of give them a bit of a platform. So it's
Nice.
been cool, but it was hell formatting that thing for at home print. So
Right.
that's
Uh,
kind of what I've been dealing with.
how many pages did you contribute to the book?
So I did the cover, um, and I did two interior pages,
Uh
and I
huh.
did like the back cover illustration.
Okay, fresh
Um,
new pages and whatnot.
yeah, so fresh new pages. So my contribution to it, and I'm hoping with each release I can get a page or two in. Is
Uh huh.
it's actually kind of related to the channel. It's also called the Comics Grind,
Right.
um, and it's kind of an offshoot of the channel, and it's really just kind of humorous situations about making comics. Um, and I I cartoon myself in it. I cartoon my other friends in it, and just kind of deal with like annoying but humorous when you look back at it situations of comics.
Nice.
So I'm planning on to, and I had a blast doing it.
Nice.
So I'm planning on keeping up with it, and at some point maybe I could do like a collection of all the strips. But for now, ultimately, if the viewers out there, and you can, I don't know if you've saw the most one of the most recent episodes of Cartoonist Kayfabe. But
No.
there's an episode where they go through like the first monthly underground collection, or underground comics collection, and it's awesome.
Right.
It features like um you know like guys like Art Spiegelman, or Crumb, Spain Rodriguez, those type of guys. But
Right.
uh, each guy gets like 1-2 pages max in the book, just strips, 1 page strips and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's a good 20 page book, or 20 page magazine, so you've got a whole bunch of work from all these different artists. So
Nice.
I'm hoping at some point, our it's called Houston Comic Scene is the name of the publication. But I'm hoping
Right.
at some point it can kind of be like that, where you know each creator gets like a page or two, maybe a little more if they have a short story and stuff.
Right.
So
Nice.
it's fun, man. It's cool stuff, but it again, it's stuff that takes away from the main comic stuff.
Right.
But it's cool trying to stay up to date, and bring the more underground comic stuff into fruition. We're going to kind of launch it at the convention this weekend, so I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool.
But
Awesome. You
yeah,
want to just
man,
jump straight into the topic?
let's do it, man. What we got for the week?
Well, there was this tweet that I saw on Twitter. It was by this creator named Art Crumbs at Art Crumbs, and she does a comic called God's Bane, and she she was talking about how a lot of beginning creators or beginning comic creators have really lofty expectations for how many chapters they want to create in their comic book. They want to make 600 chapters, 300 chapters, uh 13 volume epics right from the start. And her tweet was basically just, hey, temper your expectations. Don't really don't expect to don't expect to be a machine and put that work out there like clockwork. And I responded to that tweet just with my thoughts on the same situation, because I had that when I was starting out. And I was wondering, what was your situation like when you started off with your comic, and how did you find the perfect length for your story?
Yeah, man. So going back to like my very first stuff, um, I was doing stuff to be like a mini series. So 5 issue, 6 issue type thing done. Um, and at that time, I was very mindset on like, all right, I've got to make this book. I've got to pitch it to a publisher, and I've got to get in with a publisher, and that's how I would proceed with this with the series. And then,
Right.
it'd be like a 5 issue series, 6 issues, and then if the response and everything is cool, then maybe they'll want more.
Hmm.
It's quickly brought down to reality,
Right.
in two aspects. One being that 6 issues, give or take 24 times 6 pages, is a lot of freaking work.
Right.
Whether you're just writing, whether you're writing, lettering, drawing, coloring, like just even lettering. Because at the time I was just starting out with lettering.
Mm.
Um, so as you probably know, Ken, like even lettering itself kind of takes a long time to kind of get
Yeah.
get used to and kind of get into a routine.
Yep.
Um, so but luckily I was never, so in that regard it was brought down to reality, but also just in the pitching and publishing game, to pitching to like these middle-sized publishers. There's a lot of ropes and stuff that maybe at some point we can get into, because I've had a couple not great experiences with publishers.
Right.
Um, but luckily, I was never in the mindset to do like a truly epic thing from the very beginning.
That's smart.
I did kind of see I did see the value in doing something smaller to kind of get your feet in, to kind of know. But even then, like I shouldn't have been aiming for a 6 issue series. I should have been aiming for like a one shot, or even just a couple short stories.
Right.
Um, what about you? Were you pining for the next 20-year long comic, or
You know what the thing is when I was just starting out, I was always thinking in terms of long arcs. I was watching stuff like Naruto. I was watching stuff like One Piece or Dragon Ball, and I was thinking of story in terms of these multiple chapter epics that would take a long time to like get through and to read, but you'd get to understand the characters and their character development, and you'd get to see the everyone just go through this epic journey that they all learn from, and you cry and laugh and have a great time. And um I quickly realized that, well, actually it took me a long time to realize it, um because every comic tutorial that I would read for beginners just starting out, it was always giving the advice of temper your expectations, um lower your page count, start with one shots and short stories. Don't try to start your long fantasy epic in your first comic book. And I did short stories in the past, and anytime I had a long epic that I thought about for a while, it never went past like the first chapter. And I was like, man, comics, even if my mind didn't realize it, my body was starting to realize, yeah, this is a commitment just to be able to do 10 pages.
Mhm.
And I never realized, because I would just consume anime or consume comics or consume manga chapters like chips. Like I
Mhm.
was just like, oh, this took me only like 15 minutes to read, and I was just consuming it. And then if I was done with one series, I'd just move on to the next. If I was done with that, I'll just move on to the next. But I never realized that the artists and creators that were making the series took decades of their life to actually create the chapters that they were making, and I was just finishing them off in like 15 minutes,
Right.
and I had a warped view and expectation of how long it would take to create my own chapters. Um, and I was
Yeah.
wondering, like, did that, like, does the speed of consumption for you warp your view of how long it would take to actually make that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's I would say no in that regard for me.
Hmm.
Um but I feel like I it should be more of a concern, you know. Um what's tough about it for me in projects is whenever you get that nugget of the idea, you know, you love the story, like you start drawing some sketches and you maybe start drawing the actual book,
Uh
like
huh.
you're super excited about this thing to where you're like, man, like this thing is going to be a you know, a limited series or you know, run for 12 issues, whatever. And you know, you start off with all the greatest intentions. You know, there's been times when, you know, I would start paneling stuff out, maybe put it on my Substack and be like, you know, this thing is gonna last like a decent amount of time, and I'm gonna keep up with the characters and keep drawing it, because I feel like I have something cool
Hmm.
and new and fresh or whatever. But man, like you know, when you start getting you know, halfway through that first issue or something, you kind of start petering out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
um and there's really a sort of like a burnout factor that kind of that kind of comes with that, which is unfortunate
Right.
because, you know, there's two things to that, right? It's like at the beginning you were so excited about it,
Yeah.
and also you may have like told people about it or you've announced it or something,
Yeah.
and you know, people are like, oh, you know, you dropped off on that thing, like what happened?
Hmm.
um and you know, you kind of just start getting into this state of state of emotions where you're kind of, you know, feeling like burnt out on that story.
Right.
Maybe even like burnt out on drawing. Um, you know, dude, like I don't know about you, but maybe it's because I'm getting older, but my hand's starting to hurt like after I draw for a while.
Oh yeah.
Um, like I'm starting to get like this wrist pain.
Do you ever do the stretch?
I've started to do those stretches more. I need to
Okay.
do them more. So
Right.
do you do them before or after you draw?
I always do them before I draw, like kind of a
Like,
warm up stretch, like
yeah,
when you exercise.
yeah. So like even like things like that, like you know, physically things start wearing down. Do you ever kind of experience that? You know, when you're drawing your books and stuff.
Yeah, I get like a mild dull pain in my hand, but that's only if I draw for too long in the day.
Mm.
Um, but
But
I try to do like, the stretch whenever that happens. But
yeah,
I should start doing it
creator creators
before
take note. All you
right.
all you all you creators out there, take note of what Ken's doing so you can live a happy, healthy artist life.
Right. I try to start doing the stretch before I work out, and then before I start drawing, and then I'll also try to sit up straight in my chair so
Yeah.
that I don't develop like back problems later on. Because that's the whole reason why we have like tilted desks that tilt like that instead of sitting flat like this. Because
Mhm.
if you're hunched over like this all the time, like you'll you'll cause some damage in your neck and in your lower back that you're gonna need a chiropractor for. And I learned that from like that's another thing I learned from like the earliest comic book tutorials that I read was like people were just saying if you want to learn to draw, first thing sit correctly. So um we
Yeah.
can talk about that at some other
Yeah.
point, like
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's one of the fundamentals of drawing. It's not how to draw a circle, it's like how to sit correctly and hold your pencil right and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. No. What about like in terms of like there's the physical ailments, but what about like, you know, emotionally and stuff? Like when you're, you know, you're trying so hard to get your stuff done maybe, and like because I know like when I see stuff online and you know, I tend to get overwhelmed and maybe even a little bit like jealous or something, you know, where
oh
you're
yeah, I
like,
get jealous all the time. Yeah.
you know, where you're like, seeing all these people doing all these awesome things, and you're like, man, like I'm plugging away on my stuff. It's not done yet. Maybe it's not coming out, exactly how you like it. Um,
You
is there?
know,
Yeah.
the number one thought that comes to me is like, how are they doing this so fast?
Mm,
Like every time I see somebody like they're updating every single day, and I'm like, okay, how are you doing this that fast? And you're doing like solid work very quickly. And I'm like, dang, how are they doing that? I want to learn their secrets, or I want to know how to do that
yeah.
same stuff. Or I'm trying to find little pockets of time in my own schedule to put out the same amount of work. And I'm always pining for that day where I can work full time and put out stuff all the time. But even during those times, I run into burnout where I'll just it's more like a mental burnout for me where I'm just like I don't want to think, I don't even want to watch TV or watch any YouTube videos. I just want to sit here and
Mm,
exist and just not do anything or learn anything or create anything. I just want to be a vegetable. Like I
right.
don't want to I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And those times I'm starting to try to predict when those times will happen so that I can get the most amount of work done before that so that when it does happen I could just sit there and I don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
also
That's.
like consider it like a fun challenge to try to break out of it and start trying to move towards working
Mhm,
on something. But if not, if I can't really do that, then I'll just work out or take a walk. And
mhm.
mostly it's the walks that help. Just walk around and not think of
Oh yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Walks help. Um,
What works for
what?
you?
Yeah. Yeah. Walks are a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, what I do is at least 3 times a week. Um, so the I've learned that the minimal amount of exercise you should be getting a week is like 140 minutes or something like that.
Oh, really?
So like, you can kind of break that up. So like if you go on like 45-minute walks or something, maybe 3 to 4 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
you'll I'm sorry, three to four times a week,
Right.
you'll meet that goal, of the recommended amount of exercise per week. So what I do is, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays,
Mm-hmm.
um, after work, I'll get off of work at 5. I'll get home by like 5:30. I'll chill for a little bit, and then around 6, I'll go for that walk. That's just like
Nice.
my 45 minutes of just head clearing time. I'll put on a podcast, and maybe some, a lot of times it's like a comics podcast, so maybe it's not
Right.
like completely clearing, but it's like halfway clearing is halfway inspirational.
Yeah.
I'll Google like, Matt Kent or something like that, and I'll
Right.
listen to like his pod and just kind of just hear what he has to say, about how he started and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll do that a lot, and that certainly helps.
Nice.
Um, but uh, other than that, I mean, you know, like even this week, it's been kind of a slog in terms of the book, but
Right.
I just keep thinking like, I have that goal, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
that page count goal of this graphic novel. And I'm inching closer and closer and closer every day, every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's always in the back of my head like, damn, like I cannot wait to get this thing done. Like I'm always kind of looking forward to that, and it's not like a measure against anyone else, my peers or my other artists, other writers, other creators. It's not, you know thinking about like how this project is going to stack up against them.
Right.
It's just like that personal achievement of like finishing this story and like having this book for life,
Right.
for life and beyond life, really.
Yeah.
Even after we're gone, like we're still going to have this product, this story that you made, this artwork that kind of lives. And I think that that's kind of what like keeps me motivated, but not motivated in a sense where like I'm jealous or I need to make it to the top. It's just
Right.
like this like personal goal of mine that like, man, I'm chasing for that feeling of getting it done and like being able to like show my friends, show, potential customers, clients, family, everything.
Right.
So that's kind of what's kind of keeping me going, but I'm trying to keep I'm trying to continue to go in a healthy way, you know? And it's
Yeah,
yeah. I've grown in that regard because it didn't always used to be like that, you know?
yeah. Like I feel like what you're talking about is reality. It's like this is the reality of being a creator day by day by day. You're gonna have a full time job. You're not gonna want to do it sometimes, and even still, you have to put something out there. You have to like draw. You have to keep going, keep moving forward. And the thing I thought when I first wanted to make like these 100 chapter epics and all that was I thought I would just be like a machine, or I would be in a room by myself with no distractions from life, circumstances, no thought about marketing, no thought about anything else but drawing and craft. And I could just sit there and focus and draw as much as I want and then turn it into an editor, and then they would take care of all the marketing and stuff. And eventually I would get like an anime or an animation made out of my stuff and make a whole bunch of money and then live happily ever after. Like that was what my thought of uh my thought was for my comics career and how it would play out. But it's so much more complicated than that.
Mhm.
And that's something I had to come to grips with over time, because there's like there was a whole year where I just quit comics and stopped doing it completely. And a chapter of Air Rider that was only 20 pages took 2 years to come out, because I took a year off just to live life and experience life. Because if I was just to sit there stuck to my desk all day, I'd be like, oh, I'm missing out on something.
Right.
And that made me think of even the best of the best, like mangaka that we consider these are the highest, the top guys, like Takehiko Inoue, who did Slam Dunk and Vagabond, um Kentaro Miura, who did Berserk, and then Togashi Yoshihiro, who did Hunter x Hunter, and what's the other one called, Yu Yu Hakusho. They got tired. They got extremely tired to the point where they had to put their series on indefinite hiatus. They would come on and come back off, and just in between they would just do whatever they wanted, and they needed that break because they put themselves in such a commitment to their 300 chapter series or whatever, however many chapter series, that they were just like, I think mentally they saw the road ahead, and they were just like, there's gonna be more sitting down at a table. Like my back can't take it, my soul can't take it. It's just like, dang, I need to go do something else for a while, and put the series on hiatus. So it's like when you're young and you're thinking, I'm just gonna be young forever, and it's not gonna take that long to make these series, but they started off in their 20s making stuff all the way into their 50s. And people don't realize that if you start a 600 chapter series at 20, you're not going to be 20 by the time you finish it. Like you can read that in an afternoon, or well, you can read that in a week or in a couple months, but you can't make that in a couple months. You're gonna It's gonna take you 20 years to make that volume of manga that you
Right.
read. So that's
Yeah.
just what I think about.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because you think about like, classical painters and stuff like that,
Hmm.
artists that, are legendary and iconic throughout all of history and then some, and you read into some of these painters and they may have only done like 15 paintings throughout their entire,
Right.
classical life, you
Uh-huh.
know, but they're so highly regarded now. And then you look in this day and age, and it's like, "What have you done for me lately?" type of mentality. It's like,
Yeah.
"What did you do this week to entertain me?" Why didn't you post today? Why didn't you post tomorrow? Or
Hmm.
why haven't you posted in 2 weeks? And it's like this whole warped sense of
It's the,
accomplishment and stuff it's I think it correlates pretty well with what you're saying about the great mangaka, and how it takes time for great things to happen.
right. Like that's that social media mentality that everyone's cursed with these days. It's like I'm looking at everybody like make all this work, and I think they're going a lot faster, or I think they have no issues, or I think they're like a machine and they're just like putting out stuff without any without knowing about any of the details, the gritty details of their life in between the pages. Um, because a lot of these mangaka, I'll read their work, or I'll read a biography on them, or I'll read like just like years active from here to here, chapters created from here to here. But I don't know about all the parents that died in between, people that they loved or lost, or I don't know about the day to day, like, oh, they got a traffic ticket this year and the chapter was rushed and the drawing came out pretty bad just because they had to deal with that. Like, I don't know all the gritty details in between. I just look at the work and or look at their social media output. I'm just like, they're really getting it done. Or like, I think it's you have to create despite the things that happen in your life. And I think it's always it makes me respect them that much more when now I'm creating and I see the reality of what it takes to actually make that. I
Yeah.
mean, manga artists have assistants and whatnot,
Mhm.
but even then, it's like, dang, like they're really getting it done.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's why it's important to somehow train yourself to compare yourself upon your own goals and your
Right.
own, yearly things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough though. It's tough. I mean, we've been talking about Hayao Miyazaki, the last couple weeks and stuff. I
Right.
mean, there's a reason why, it takes him 6 years to put out a movie. It's
Right.
it's it's not like he's doing like an episodic thing. He's making these great pieces of work that take time, and
Like a
you know
painting.
and yeah, exactly, like a painting. And I guarantee you, Hayao Miyazaki, he's not comparing himself against other people and like
He
what
can't.
they've done. Yeah, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But he's looking at himself. He's always beating himself up because he's
Right.
like you're yourself. You know, you're not doing it. Not that these other people are doing something that you can't do.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a good example. It kind of correlates with everything there.
Right. And he didn't really have social media in those days. All he had was like I guess the press and just like the media, like on TV and whatnot. You could see other people's animations on TV and be like, okay, this is what that guy's doing. Let me just go back to my work. Like there wasn't really anything else to do because there was no phones, there was no anything. So
Yeah.
whenever I get like that, whenever I think about stuff like that, I think, okay, what would it be like if I didn't have a phone? And then that kind of gets my mind back on track. It's like, oh, then all I would have to worry about is my own life, my own goals, and um, what I'm working towards. Like it always brings me back to reality to think about, like, okay, what if I didn't have my phone, and what if I didn't have instant access to everyone else's life on the internet, and
Right.
just I could just focus on myself and just what I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah, it's a important thing for us indie creators and creators that are really trying to make an imprint in the industry. But
Right.
yeah, Ken, you got anything else on the subject? This was a good one, man. This was a deep discussion on kind of a creator mentality and kind of how everything goes. Anything else?
Yeah, well, no, I don't really have anything else on the subject, but I just thought it was funny how people were responding with complete seriousness how they're going to make 300 chapters of their own like comic story, and they're totally fine with making that, but they don't realize they're not going to be 20 forever, and it's not going to be that easy to even make one chapter. So
Yeah.
um I'm glad that Art Crumbs on Twitter brought that up because it was a great subject for discussion.
Yeah. So you hear that, creators? Ken says, temper your lofty ass goals. All right, Ken. Let the people out there know where they can find you. Where can they read Air Rider?
Oh yeah, y'all can find me on Twitter at the Kamiken and on Instagram at Kamiken, and then you can read Air Rider on Comics. It's available there for free. The first 3 chapters are on there right now, and I'll be making Air Rider strips, but I'm building a buffer right now, so there's nothing new coming out at the moment. I'm just building up material.
Cool. Look forward to seeing those strips. And you can find me at Nico_Writes on Instagram and on Twitter. Instagram's the best spot. You can follow my work on my creative work on my Substack at nicorodriguez.substack.com. Yeah, and that's about it. Working on my stuff and keep up with my social media stuff because that's where I am posting updates, posting sketches, all that cool stuff. But thanks
Right.
so much for joining us this week, not
Yeah.
weekend. Thanks so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next time.